Today I talked about foliar fungicides, a lot about foliar fungicides on corn, and specifically I showed a lot of data from my research trials and showing really that it may be best to target diseases when you're thinking about making a fungicide application. That's when we've seen the most consistent yield responses, is when we've targeted diseases and reduced those diseases and saw a nice yield response. And that's when we've been most consistently profitable, if we look at profitability in our trials, as well as when we've targeted diseases. So I talked about a couple of different things. One would be disease risk factors. Those would be things to take into account, such as how susceptible your hybrid is. Are you planting corn on corn with a lot of corn residue left on the soil surface? Are you planting a little later? Is planting delayed? Those are things that can influence disease levels. And so that's something to consider, especially hybrid susceptibility. And then carrying that on into scouting for diseases on hybrids that that are very susceptible. It's important to go out and look prior to tassel and focus on that third leaf below the ear and see if diseases are present at that level or higher on 50% of the plants. If so, on those susceptible hybrids, then it may be a time to spray a fungicide. On hybrids that have moderate level of resistance, you still want to consider those things, but you also want to consider some of those disease risks I talked about. Corn on corn, is there a lot of corn residue still on the soil surface? Because that's where those pathogens come from that cause these foliar diseases. And then also consider the weather. Is it lots of frequent rainfall, warm, high relative humidity? And then on those hybrids that have a high level of resistance, we haven't seen a big enough yield response in controlling those diseases to really warrant spraying hybrids that have a high level of resistance to diseases.